The stories of Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Desperado from the hit song of the Eagles share the theme, redemption comes from giving up your old life. Arthur Morgan, a 36-year-old man who had joined a community labeled the Vanderland Gang, was an outlaw in the year 1899. He was considered an enforcer of the gang and wouldn't hesitate to take care of anyone in his path. We see this in the mission Moneylending and Other Sins. Arthur is brought to the house of a family who has recently fallen on bad times. The family is said to owe money to one Leopold Strauss, a German man who had recently joined the gang. Arthur goes to the father of the family and beats him to where he is within an inch of his life. Arthur collects the money and leaves the family for ruin. As the story progresses, we see Arthur come to terms with his mortality after he catches the fatal disease known as tuberculosis. In the mission, Do Not Seek Absolution, we see Arthur run into this family again, except Thomas Downs, the man Arthur had beaten, was dead. Mrs. Downs, to feed her and her son, had decided to go into prostitution. Arthur, finding out this news, decides to give Mrs. Downs money to go to a different part of the country to start a new life. This proves how Arthur has redeemed himself in the eyes of others by giving up on the ways he used to collect money from the poor, and now he gives it to them. You can also look at the colors throughout Red Dead Redemption 2 as Arthur redeems himself throughout. You can see hues of areas become lighter and yellower, yellow being a symbol of purity and holiness, and to some extent redemption. In Red Dead Redemption 2, there is a mechanic called the honor system, where if you do what is considered a good deed, you gain honor, and lower honor for frowned upon acts. Throughout the story, we see Arthur do both good and bad. But in the ending that we consider canonical, Arthur is shown with high honor. We also see how Arthur's loyalties to John Marston change throughout the campaign. In the mission, Enter Pursued by a Memory, we see Arthur go to save John, complaining about how John had left the gang long ago, and had only recently returned. Arthur calls John stupid, a bad father, and reckless throughout, but even after the events in Saint Denis, after Jack, John's son, is kidnapped and John is imprisoned, Arthur has time to reflect on his actions and decides to help John and free him from the prison. We also see Arthur save John's family, going to rescue Abigail, John's wife, even though the rest of the gang had decided to hunt down the Pinkertons. You can see that Arthur has changed, as he would normally go with the rest of the gang to go get money or kill a couple Pinkertons, but Arthur has decided to redeem himself in the eyes of John's family. Arthur gets rid of the enemies in that area and learns that there was a rat in his gang. The Vanderland gang's rat was Micah Bell. Arthur goes to tell Dutch, and this causes the entire gang to separate. Arthur and John are chased up a mountain where Arthur must decide to hold the rest of the gang off from John or go back to the camp to get John money. Arthur decides that it's a safer bet to help John escape and decides to make his final stand. Arthur fends off the gang pretty well, but realizes that he's not leaving. Arthur gives John his hat and says goodbye. Later, Arthur fights Micah and loses, but plants the seed in the gang's leader, Dutch Vanderland's mind, of Micah being a traitor. Micah and Dutch leave, and Arthur peacefully looks at the sunset, dying a redeemed man. Formed in Los Angeles in 1971, the Eagles are one of the most successful American rock bands, defining the 70s country rock with hits like Hotel California and Take It Easy. Founded by Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon, and Randy Meisner, the band is famous for its harmonies and desert rock melodies. Their compilation, Their Greatest Hits, is among their best-selling albums in history, with the song we're talking about today, Desperado, being the fifth song you listen to. Desperado tells the story of a cowboy questioning himself, wondering if the lifestyle he's living in is worth it, almost pleading to himself that this isn't a life for him. We can see this in verse 1. It states, "Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now." This shows the man pleading with himself, why continue this life? Why stay on this path? The cowboy can tell he should stop, but he doesn't. And his consciousness tells him, "Don't you draw the Queen of Diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. You know the Queen of Hearts is always your best bet." The cowboy knows he should stop living this life, yet he continues to stay on his high horse. His mind tells him, "Now it seems to me some fine things have been laid upon your table, but you only want the ones you can't get." He knows that the path he's on isn't his to take. His mind tells him he's not getting any younger, and he's alone. It also says freedom is being with the people you love. The cowboy starts to reflect in the third verse. "Don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? The sky won't snow and the sun won't shine. It's hard to tell the nighttime from the day. You're losing all your highs and lows. And ain't it funny how the feeling goes?" The last verse is the cowboy reflecting on life, wondering why he never decided to leave. "Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Come down from those fences, open the gate. It may be raining, but there's a rainbow above you." He talks about how life could be bad, but there's always hope above him, and how he still has time for love. He just needs to let go of his old life and redeem himself in his own eyes. Now, Arthur and the Desperado are similar, but not just because they're both cowboys. It's also because of the scenarios they're put in. Arthur lived with the gang, but never really left. He had a child, and he left his son Isaac with his mother, and they were sadly killed in a robbery.
It's not that way.
You know, I had a son once, years ago. Don't talk about him much.
Oh, what was his name?
Isaac. His mother, Eliza, was a waitress I met. When she got pregnant, she knew who I was, what my life was. I didn't want to promise nothing I couldn't keep, but I said I'd do right by them. Every few months, I'd stop by there for a few days. He was such a good kid. She was too, I guess. Just a kid, 19.
What happened?
I got there one day and saw two crosses outside. I knew right away. Turned out some bastards had come through. Robbed him and shot him dead. And offered $10.
After this, Arthur ponders. He reflects on whether he should stay with the gang and die an outlaw, or help others and die a free man.
Meet me at the reservation.
Morgan! Are you okay?
Well, never better. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm on my way down to Mexico. They're finally sending me on a mission. Brother Dorkins is very jealous. What's wrong?
I'm dying, sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. I've lived a bad life, sister.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
What do you mean?
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. And it weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I. But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan.
After getting a pep talk from the monk, Arthur just decides that he'd rather die a free man than die an outlaw with the gang. This echoes the Desperado situation. Does he stay alone and on the run, or does he finally lay down and have a family? Ultimately, Arthur Morgan and the Desperado are the same man at different stages of the same sunrise. Arthur Morgan's story ends with a physical death but a spiritual rebirth. He gives up the outlaw to become the brother John needed, proving that you can't save yourself until you finally stop saving your own skin. The Desperado, standing in his own fence, is offered the same choice. Keep riding until the winter freezes your heart, or open the gate and let the old life die so new one can begin. Whether it's a high honor sunset on a mountain in 1899, or a lonely cowboy finally letting someone love him in a 1973 ballad, the message remains clear. Redemption isn't about erasing what you've done. It's about having the courage to stop being who you were. Both men find their peace only when they realize that freedom of the open range is just a different kind of prison. And the only way out is to finally come home to your heart.